Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Publishing Room. Today, we are going to be talking about why people judge books by their covers, okay, and why that matters, all right. And so, for those who do not know me, my name is Bree Smith. I'm the CEO and founder of Kingdompreneur Publishing LLC, where our mission is to help kingdom authors just like yourself be able to publish their books with purpose. Okay. And so the purpose of the publishing room is to what? Help kingdom authors learn how to publish their books with excellence and strategy. All right. So last week, what did we discuss? We discussed editing and refinement. And now today we're kind of moving in a little bit on design, specifically the book covers. Okay. And so before anyone ever reads your book, they're going to see the book. So always keep that in mind, right? So your book cover has to be something that is going to stick out in the market, that's really going to draw them in, right? Because if you just have any other type of book cover, and let's say like a lot of your books, yeah, you're trying to compete in the market. If your book cover is not standing out, you know what I mean, and even kind of what it's about and all that, people ain't gonna buy that book. We honestly do judge books by their covers, okay? And so we have to understand the reality of first impressions. Readers absolutely, like I said, judge books by their covers. The cover signals professionalism and authority. So in many cases, readers decide in seconds whether to click or keep scrolling, okay? And so why this matters the most, like I just told y'all a few minutes ago, like when people, especially when people are searching on Amazon just for a book, and it could be like a book on the prophetic, it could be a children's book or whatever, right? That's dealing with certain topics. If your book cover is not standing out in that market, ain't nobody buying that book. I'm just gonna be honest. Okay. Same thing with social media promotions. You got a lot of people now, they're using ads, right? But once again, if people go and they look at your book that you're trying to put out there and they're like, oh, I don't want that, you know what I mean? Of course, there's more stuff that goes into an ad, but they're gonna be looking at that visual image. If they're looking at that book like, man, I do not want that book, they're not gonna get that book. Also, to online bookstores, physical book displays, you name it. Okay. Your book cover is your book's first impression, okay? Or your book's first conversation with the reader. So always remember that, okay? So what makes a professional book cover? All right. So it provides, okay, number one, strategic design. Okay. Your cover should match the genre and the audience. Design communicates expectations. And we're going to go over a few book covers. Okay, I got different types of book covers. And so I'm going to go through like what it should entail, and then we're going to go over the different book covers. Okay. Number two, readability. So your title must be clear, even as a small thumbnail. Typography. Oh my God. Typograph. Oh Lord. Typography. There we go. That's the word. Matters. Visual hierarchy is number three. Title prominence, subtitle placement, author name positioning. Number four is branding and positioning, color choices, imagery, overall tone of the book. And number five is the marketplace fit, how the cover compares to similar books in the category. Okay. And so, like I said, I have a few books. And so I'm going to show you the books that I really like, the book covers. So this is number one. This is one by John Eckhart, The Prophet's Manual. You see how it is like the title is centered here, right? I love how it's like bold, but also too, I love how they have like this like it looks like an ancient book in the background, but then too you see what the prophet's manual, right? And so you automatically are like, okay, I know this is going to be a book that has to deal with prophets, okay? If you know about prophets. And so, like I said, I love it. I love how like I said, the main title's here, the subtitle's here, the author's name is here, right? And so I absolutely love this book, right? And how the front cover is actually situated. And then here's another one, okay, by Miles Monroe. Okay. And so with this book, and a lot of authors choose to do this, they'll put their picture on the front cover. And the reason why they do that is because they're trying to say that they're the expert in this matter, right? So when you're trying to position yourself as an expert in the market in a particular area, a lot of people will put their face, right? Because they're the face of their brand on the cover. So, of course, as you can see, he has his name up here, and it says Understanding the Kingdom, right? So Kingdom Principles, so that's the title of the book. And then here, Preparing for a Kingdom Experience and Expansion, right? Like I said, absolutely, God rest his soul, but absolutely love this book, right? You know what I mean? Like I said, I just love everything about Dr. Miles Monroe. So, like I said, they did an excellent job in positioning this book. And then also, too, guys, as it pertains to cover design, right? And we're really mainly talking about the front cover. So even with my children's books here, right? Like, okay, so this is a part of a series. So Bree's Heavenly Adventures with Jesus, and then it says the true meaning of friendship. Well, as you can see, we have Jesus here, right? Jesus is on the cover. We have little me here, and then we have a little friend here. You see what I'm saying? And it's in a classroom setting because a lot of times kids are in school, right? And so you're trying to keep it in something familiar for them. And so you see how this cover actually illustrates, you know what I mean, what it's talking about. You know what I mean? So that, I absolutely love this book cover. Of course, I'm biased because I am the author of the book, but you see, that's that. And then two, on my other book cover, right? So this is the very first book in the series, Bree's Heavenly Adventures with Jesus, The True Meaning of Unconditional Love. So there goes little me again and with Jesus. And so this book right here, everything is about me and Jesus' relationship. But you see how it's like appealing, it's visually appealing. You see what I'm saying? That's how you want your books to be, guys. So it don't matter, like I said, if you're doing a children's book, it doesn't matter, like I said, if you're trying to do something more like Miles Monroe, where you're setting yourself up as the expert, you want to make sure that your picture's on the cover. Or if, like I said, you're not going to do that, but your book has, it entails certain things, you want to make sure that there's elements on the book, right, on the book cover, that is going to display what it is, the message you're trying to convey. Okay, that's the ultimate goal. Now I'm gonna show you a book cover that I really don't like, but I got the book because somebody recommended it to me and said it had a lot of good information. And so, guys, just because a book has a lot of good information, if the book cover is crappy, it's not going to do well. Okay. And I will say that they had two different versions of this book. The first book, and y'all know I always talk about this, you do not want a book cover that looks like kindergarten and colored on it with crayons. Like it's just, it don't make no sense. The elements is all out of place. It looks very tacky. You don't want that. You want a professionally done book cover. Now compared to what I originally saw with that other cover, I got this cover, but even still, I still don't like this cover. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't like this cover. Number one, I don't like this cover is because, okay, you got a man standing on the mountain that's shrugging. Okay, but the title's called Bang Traditions. Now I can kind of see maybe the lightning, maybe a little bit. But for real, it's kind of confusing. For me, I mean, it does not really convey that. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, excellent material in the book, but like I said, we're talking about the book cover here. And so, like I said, you got a man sitting on a mountain that's shrugging. Like I said, for me, it's said it's vain traditions. So for me, maybe like having elements that have to do with tradition. Maybe if they would have had that sprinkled on the book cover. Um, and then of course they have this at the bottom, so we don't even know who the author is of the book. I mean, I know who published the book and all that. That's who the author is of the book, but it just literally says, in vain do they worship me, teaching as teaching the commandments of men. Okay. Um, and like I said, but if you're going to talk about the traditions of Christianity, for me, I just think there should have been like elements of just various tradition. Like you could have had like a long skirt, you could have had earrings, you could have, like anything, you know what I'm saying? Just like stuff that would have uh shown that it was a vain tradition. I really, like I said, I don't like how they did that. Like I said, I don't even know who even wrote the book. And like I said, I don't really like the background. You know what I mean? I mean, this is okay. I mean, I probably even would have brought this down because that's very high up. I probably would have centered that. But like I said, I really don't, like I said, I don't like how this is way up here, and I don't like their choice in design. Like I said, they really could have brought out other elements that really would have conveyed. But like I said, compared to the other version of this book, 10 out of 10, I would have like, that's why I grabbed this one. Because I didn't want to buy that other one. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna have that in my library. So like I said, I just wanted to give you guys actual examples of some good book covers. Okay. Because like I said, a lot of times people they don't they don't do that. But I want to show you like, no, you need to, if you're going to self-publish, or even if you're going to have a publisher, that they know exactly what they're doing as it pertains to, like I said, book covers and editing, all that type of stuff. Okay. So what are some common cover design mistakes authors make? Okay. Um, like I said, overcrowded designs. Okay, it's number one. Like I said, we just kind of talked about this book here. I didn't really like how this is way up here. I'm like, why is it way at the top? And I get it because you're trying to show this little man, but like I said, the design of it all, how it's laid out, I don't even, it does not convey vain traditions to me. That's just me though. You know, poor font choices, low quality images. Look, all this is in this book. Covers that don't match the genre. That's this book. Okay. That designs that look amateur or confusing. Right. Like I said, you don't want a book cover that does that. You want a book cover that's going to exude excellence. All right. And so your message may be powerful, but if the cover doesn't communicate that power, readers may never open the book. And like I said, a lot of good information in this book. But I would have never, if I would have saw that just on a bookshelf in a store or even going through Amazon shopping, I would have never purchased it. I'm just gonna be honest. If my friend never recommended that I buy that book, I never would have did it. Because like I said, it's just not appealing to me. Right. But when I look at my books, these are very appealing, right? It's children's books, so they should be very colorful and things of that nature. And then, like I said, Miles Monroe's book, right? Excellent, excellent, excellent. You see what I'm saying? He said what I say when you see somebody on a book cover, they're trying to say that they're the expert in this particular whatever subject they're talking about. And like I said, so excellent job. I love that. I love the colors. I love, like I said, Kingdom Principles, right? This is his subtitle. He had his name at the top. Okay. So I absolutely love that. And then last but not least, like I showed you guys before, I love this book, right? Because like I said, you had elements. I loved how it was centered. I loved how like I said, you got to see the name of the author here. Like I said, you don't have to. Like I said, you could do it just like how Marilyn Monroe had it too. Subtitle here. But I also love, like I said, you got the ancient book in the background, which I thought was dope. And then, like I said, you have the profit manual. Like, so like, oh, this is gonna be a good book for profits. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm saying. You just want to make sure, just like how I was able to go through those books and point out those different elements, you want to be able to do the same thing with your book cover. And if your book cover is not conveying that, or it's doing like I said, it has low quality images, or you have poor font choices, or it looks like it's overcrowded, or the cover doesn't even match the genre, you need to scrap it. You need to tell whoever's doing it. So whether it's a freelancer or if it's your publisher, you need to tell them, we got to try that again because this is not conveying the message that's in the book. Okay. So, how does Kingdompreneur Publishing support authors in this stage? So, inside of our Kingdompreneur Publishing packages, right, authors receive professional cover design, branding alignment, audience positioning, and marketplace ready visuals. Okay. So, we're going to, like I said, now you're gonna, as an author, you have to have some buy-in because we're not going to design the cover for you. Just pick anything. So, tell us kind of like what you're looking for, what's your desire, and then allow us to bring it to life, right? Whatever the Father may have laid on your heart. All right. And then if it's confusing, then we will come in and say, hey, maybe let's try this, and let you be able to pick those designs. But like I said, we design covers that don't just look good, but they're going to position you well as an author. And that's what we want here at Kingdompreneur Publishing, to position you well as an author. Okay. And if we're not doing that, then we are not doing our jobs. Okay, guys. And so if you're preparing to publish your book and you want a cover, okay, that's going to represent excellence, this is exactly what our publishing packages. Good morning, sis. Thank you so much for joining this morning. This is exactly what our publishing packages are designed to support. Okay, so go ahead, feel free to DM us. You can also go to our website, kingdompreneurpublishing.com, or you can go to info at kingdompreneurship info at kingdompreneur publishing, okay, .com, right, and send us an email, and I would love to connect with you. We do have free discovery calls, and I'm going to go ahead and actually place that free QR code on the screen. And so all you have to do is just take out your phone, click the camera app, and then click the link, and it'll take you right there. We give you a free 15-minute business presentation, just outlining everything that we offer here at Kingdompreneur Publishing. I mean, we do everything from publishing your books. We have marketing, promotional support, and then we also offer consultations here at Kingdompreneur Publishing LLC. And so just want you guys to, like I said, reach out if you have any questions at all. Like I said, that's what this is about. Amen. And so, guys, once again, this is the publishing room, okay, where Kingdom authors move from manuscript to marketplace with excellence. And then next week, we're going to talk about something every author needs to understand, which are the ISBNs. We're going to talk going into copyright ownership, distribution, all that type of stuff. So, cannot wait to see you guys next week for that. And as always, guys, be blessed. And thanks so much for joining, sis.